confused, just moved it because the multimeter out to the test that. He said, so moved it, hold it. He said, let hold it out. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning and welcome. My name is Sharon McDonald, Chief Executive at Northwest Aerospace Alliance. Thank you for attending our webinar this morning in partnership with Ideagen, who are in fact a long-time member of Northwest Aerospace Alliance. So good to partner with them on these events. I just want to talk about a couple of face-to-face events which are long awaited. The first one being our conference on the 23rd of September. We do remain quite confident that this will go ahead at that time, having visited the hotel this week. They've got, if needed at the time, adequate space for us to have the conference with social distancing measures. Thank you to those on the call today who are exhibitors and who've already booked their slots. We do have a very small number left, so if you want to exhibit at the conference, please contact Claire or myself. In relation to, just on that point actually, we have our Aerospace Ball, so that's another face-to-face event on the 8th of October. So again, it's going to be a fabulous night, great food, possibly the odd drink, some live entertainment as well as a DJ and dancing till late. So in relation to, just go back one, webinars. So next week we have our webinar in partnership with the Science and Technology Facilities Council. They're going to talk to us about transforming productivity by adopting 4.0 with the Industrial Digitalisation Accelerator. And on the 15th of July, we're delighted to announce that we have David Bailey. He'll be giving the latest industry updates. As I'm sure you're aware, this is a very extremely popular webinar and well attended. This will be free of charge to our members and with a small charge for non-members. Booking details will shortly be on our website. And for non-members, of course, for members, you will receive your email communications, which will also have the booking links. Just to let you know that SC21 and NATEP are continuing as normal. If you'd like to speak to Catherine about SC21 CNG or Glenn for NATEP, their numbers are on our website. Regarding Farnborough Air Show 2022, it would be very interesting to understand the appetite of companies to exhibit at Farnborough. So any thoughts or comments you might have on this, please email Claire or myself. It would be good to just gather some information on that. Finally, I'd just like to remind you, please, to follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. Comment on our webinars, good or bad, and liking our posts would be great. And in return, we'll do the same for yourselves. Thank you for listening to me. I'll now stop sharing and hand over to Stephen. There you go, Stephen, over to you.
Perfect. Thanks very much for that, Sharon. Appreciate the introduction, and I'll just share my screen. So let's share this, and we'll start the slides. Can everyone see that okay? Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, because we do have people that are coming in from overseas. So I've been made aware of. So pleased to meet you all. You know what we're going to be focusing on today. My name's Stephen Allison. I'm a sales consultant with Ideagen, and the webinar is focused on the importance of APQP when measuring your KPIs. APQP is something we're all beginning to become more aware of, and it's becoming more and more of a requirement within the aerospace and defence industry. It's something that's been around for a while, and that's something that within the webinar I'm going to kind of address and talk about and give you it from my point of view, our business point of view, and how we're engaging with customers about it. It can be seen as yet another set of documentation requirements, but hopefully within the webinar we can simplify that the requirements and show the positivities that it will bring to your business. So just a kind of a summary. Obviously myself, I've still got my video kind of sharing just now. Just a bit about myself. You maybe see in the background, I'm into motorbikes and all the rest of it. We're talking about Kawasaki in the background, etc. That was my lockdown project that I done, restoring that. We'll just go into do some housekeeping on the next kind of slide. A bit about Ideagen, who we are. Give you just a brief overview of who we are. Then we'll go into what is APQP, an overview of that. What are the key performance indicators, and then what connects APQP to those KPIs, and then ultimately what does APQP mean to your business, and then how that we Ideagen could help with that as well. So just for the housekeeping, I think most people are skilled on it now anyway. Just if you can mute yourself just for the webinar, that would be appreciated. And then at the end we can open it up to any questions. We can come off a mute. I've no problem about that. And then if you want to turn off your videos as well, just to kind of save the bandwidth, that would be appreciated. We are going to be recording the session, so that will be shared after, after this the webinar, and you'll have a copy of that. And we will have a Q&A at the end of the webinar. So in terms of Ideagen, our global footprint. So we have 12 global operational sites. So we're spread from our headquarters in Nottingham. We just recently opened a big new office in Nottingham and Ruddington, and then we're spread out, over North America. We've got multiple sites in North America, and then through into the Middle East, and then out to the Far East in Malaysia in KL. We've got kind of 2 key sites in Nottingham and in KL, Malaysia, for our centres of excellence. So we've got approximately 606 employees, and that is growing. I think we've got open just now about 140 positions. So there's a good bit of positivity going about in Ideagen, and that in expansion in our business. And we do have about 5,000 plus customers using the Ideagen suite of products. And that is, and those customers can be global customers or small, medium, large enterprise businesses. We do deal with the full kind of, full range and into those different market verticals, which I'll cover. In terms of the areas we work in, as I said, 5,000 plus companies using the Ideagen suite of products. One of our main key areas is aviation, aerospace, and defence companies. So we do work with the large aviation companies, such as your BAs, etc. And then also into your aerospace and defence, working with those OEMs or tier 1 aerospace and defence companies. We're also in the manufacturing. Manufacturing is a wide market. If we break it down, we've got automotive, energy including oil and gas, nuclear, all those kind of verticals within, and then into your kind of wider industrial manufacturing. We have a big presence in the life science and hospitals in the UK and the US, and then also, you know, talking about them NHS, and then, you know, where your vaccines are coming from just now. We are working with all those businesses, and then into accounting firms. So we've got financial auditing software, and then pharmaceutical companies as well. So we do have, we're spread throughout kind of different markets. So that brings me on nicely to what is APQP. Now the diagram you'll see on the screen is probably something that I would think majority of people have seen if they've looked into the standard. If not, well, we can certainly, we're going to talk about it. So advanced product quality planning, APQP, is a process that's been developed in the late 1980s, and it was commissioned of experts gathered around the big three, known as US automobile industry, so Ford, GM and Chrysler. So they launched the first APQP manual in June 1994. So APQP it's a structured method that deploys the necessary quality plan that will assure that a product or service satisfies the customer requirements. So and then just adding into that, in 1982, AIAG, the Automotive Industry Action Group, they developed the production part approval process, which is also known as PPAP. Majority of you'll hear of it being known as that. And that's to affirm the product quality planning. And the first manual for that was published in February 1993. So PPAP is a method that verifies that the supplier's production process has the capability to produce the parts at a rate and the quantity specified by the customer, and that all the customer engineering design record specification requirements are properly understood. So it sets out certain elements to ensure those areas are understood. So how does that relate to the aerospace and defence market? So in 2016, a new standard, AS 9145, was released or created, and that was the requirements for advanced product quality planning and production part approval process for the aerospace and defence sector. So the standard was developed by a team nominated by the IAQG, so pulling together some of those tier ones and the supply chain and OEMs to develop that. Now they have just adopted what the automotive industry have been doing for a number of years previous, and they've just made some tweaks on it to make it applicable to the aerospace and defence market. So the standard specifies the requirements in a structured framework to plan and complete actions of the product realization cycle, which are necessary to ensure the quality products are delivered on time while satisfying the cost performance targets. So you can see there on the diagram, we've got the customer satisfaction. So the end goal of APQP, on time, on quality, shorter lead times, and then focusing in on the cost. And there's various things within that we'll discuss further on in the slides. So OEMs and your customers are focusing more and more on just in time, since this avoids them paying for goods until they are needed in their build process. So why is that? Inventory is an overhead and will affect the business's cash flow. Therefore, better planning will result in better cash flow. So what affects that better planning? From the multiple supply chains that they have. With the OEMs having that better cash flow, in times of economic turmoil, which we kind of are going through or have been through in the kind of cycles of the industry, cash is king. So it's to try and stabilize that supply chain, for the builds. APQP principles will involve all departments in the business, or as many of departments in the business as you can, and the end goal and focus being the same for each department: quality, reducing risk of failure, therefore providing the product on time and to the quality required. Majority of businesses are doing APQP activities, but maybe it's more of an unconscious state where they're doing them. It's more of an informal state with how they're doing them. But the APQP standard, the AS 9145, is just driving that, it's driving the suppliers to provide the evidence that they are complying to the standard. The main driver is the OEMs such as Boeing and Airbus, which we know through working with our customers, they're stipulating AS 9145 evidence within their contracts. So the requirement is being passed down the chain that they want their suppliers and their suppliers to be providing that APQP documentation with the parts or during that kind of the product life cycle. And that does have that ripple effect down through the supply chain, and it brings a lot of people to think, well, what is APQP? Is this another set of documentation we've got to do, etc. So just looking into an overview on the stages for APQP, and this is a diagram again that majority of you will have seen. There are 5 stages, and within each stage they go into a granular level of task and requirements, which can otherwise be known as elements, and they have activities and then outcomes or evidence that you need to provide throughout. Not all 5 stages are applicable to every business. For example, you may not be in control of the design of the product, but you are a manufacturer, a subcontract manufacturer. Therefore, you're in control of the manufacture to that design. So that's important to note that there are some areas within these stages that may not be applicable to you, but that's fine. It's just important to have that that conversation with the customer on what is required for you. What are you to be providing as that evidence? So just a quick overview on each of the stages. So the planning stage, so that's where they collect project inputs and set the project. So collect the technical, non-technical requirements applicable to the product, develop a statement of work for the project, define the product and associated project targets, develop the product breakdown structure, high level bill of materials, coordinate and communicate timing with all applicable stakeholders. So what this is going to do is going to pull in all those stakeholders within the business from different departments to try and spread that accountability across a business. And then obviously scheduling all key dates and deliverables in the project plan. Now that's just a snippet from the kind of standard, but it's all aimed at that kind of planning function side of it. Stage 2, the product design and development. The design the product considering all identified requirements and risks. So applying a bit of risk analysis into when you're designing that product. The purpose of this phase is to ensure the design features and characteristics are formalized and ready for the process design and development, which is the next stage. During this process, the intended production phases and potential supplier used to realize a product are identified also. And during this phase, the organization shall identify and review production process design input requirements. So that can be including product design records, targets for productivity, process capability, quality and cost, customers and regulatory requirements, including customer demand rate. And then also there's a lessons learned, so looping it back round. We then move on to stage 3. So the process design development. So this takes to do with the activities within completing the source selection, establish your supply chain risk and your management plan around that. Create a process flow diagram. Conduct the PFMEA, process failure modes and effects analysis. So do your risk analysis on the process for the manufacturer, and identify those key characteristics. Update the process based on the PFMEA risk mitigation plans, which focuses on those key characteristics on the product. Creating the control plan, so you're going to control those areas, including the results of the PFMEA and KC identification. So those ones that we've identified. And create the process manufacturing instructions and documentation, and then evaluate the production readiness of that. Stage number 4, product process validation. Conduct first article. So this is where we're going into, like a pre-production phase. So we're testing that process out. Conduct that first article inspection, and also produce that part approval process or PPAP documentation. Completion of production runs, so that kind of sample of production runs. Conduct your capacity analysis, collect the data to demonstrate the manufacturing and assembly process, which can produce conforming product at the customer demand rate, and conduct MSA per the MSA plans. Review the results of the production process runs, and then any subsequent corrective actions being implemented. So anything that we can improve on, then that's come back round. And then stage 5, moving into that kind of production rate, where we monitor the product, the process performance, and compare to the defined phase 1 targets, including reliability, quality, and customer satisfaction. And then it's important to, it loops round back into updating your FMEA. So anything that you're still learning, it's giving you that opportunity to loop it back round. So that's a kind of an overview of the stages. As I said, there's a lot more in it there, but I'm not going to go into the full depth of it, because we could be here for a very long time. But it's to kind of just give you that overview for what we're going on to talk about next. So what are key performance indicators? So key performance indicator definition. A key performance indicator is a measurable value that demonstrates how effectively a company is achieving key business objectives. Organizations use KPIs, I'm sure you all use them, at multiple levels to evaluate their success in reaching targets. Just a few definitions that I've plucked out from the World Wide Web. A quantifiable measure used to evaluate the success of an organization, employee, etc., in meeting objectives for performance. Another one is a set of quantifiable measures that a company uses to gauge its performance over time. And the third one, I've got a way of measuring the effectiveness of an organization and its progress towards achieving its goals. Typically, as a supplier, you would have with your customer a monthly, quarterly, and more likely a yearly review to monitor your performance and they use the KPIs to measure your performance. And a famous quote, which I'm sure you've all heard, if you can't measure it, you can't improve on it, or you can't manage it. These are kind of quotes that are out there. So that's a little bit about the kind of key performance indicators. Supplier key performance indicators. So I've kind of broke this down into kind of 3 simple ones, which feed into that the APQP principles. For most suppliers within supply chains, there are 3 core overall KPIs. You know, we'll say they're the kind of headers. So we've got quality, delivery, and cost. So looking at quality is non-negotiable if you want to become that preferred supplier status within your customer base. Poor quality statistics typically affects on your on-time delivery. With everything being that driven to that kind of just-in-time manufacture, that puts that pressure on the, you know, if there is a quality escape, that puts the pressure on that on-time delivery. For delivery, just like I've said, with the customer schedule becoming more finite and based on just-in-time, this supply, due to reducing that inventory risk that they're wanting to carry, this is becoming less negotiable. So that on-time delivery. So both quality and on-time delivery are your key areas for a supplier. Cost is negotiable, and if quality and on-time delivery KPIs are strong within your business, that will put you in a stronger position when negotiating. APQP principles will help you refine, reduce risk, reduce rework and scrap costs whilst driving improvement in your process, which is a win-win situation for your business. So what connects APQP and the KPIs? Okay, so to measure quality performance, here's some examples of some KPIs within those areas. So right first time. So that KPI measures how many products you produce correctly from the first time without any modification before sales. A complaint rate or rejects, a KPI that measures your number of complaints. Internal audit plan adherence, a measurement which is which challenges the, you know, internally within the organization. Overdue corrective actions, this indicator gives an idea of how your continual improvement cycle is going. Not all quality related KPIs are owned nor the responsibility of the quality department. So that's where the APQP principles, you know, fans those kind of responsibilities and accountability out within your organization. So just looking at this slide, I've brought in the, as you can see on the screen, I've brought in the APQP principles. We've got the KPIs. We have the 5, stages here, and just some sub-levels, what goes on within there, as well as the KPIs and then the sub-levels within those KPIs. So if we look at the planning, we've got contract review, project plan. Most businesses will complete a contract review for their contract. And how does that affect, the KPIs? So poor contract review will typically affect that quality side of it. If we then jump down to the process design and development, we've got process flow. So the process flows typically could be your job card, route card that's going through your manufacturing process. Again, something that you are already doing and you have evidence of, but it's pulling that, the APQP principles is pulling the documentation together. The PFMEA is evaluating the risks before you go into that manufacture. So again, that's going to affect and hopefully improve on your quality side. The control plan, how you're going to control, the outcome of the manufacturing of the parts, and then the KCs, the key characteristics you've got to focus on. Again, all that area focuses in on the quality KPI. In turn, by focusing on that quality KPI, that's going to drive part of your on-time delivery as well. But as well as looking up at the planning side, that's driving your on-time delivery. These areas are also affecting your costs, just like I've explained previously. Because we're doing this in a structured method prior to going into manufacture, and pulling in those members of the team from different departments to focus and take accountability within there, that's hopefully going to have that adverse effect on you, less scrap cost, improved quality and on-time delivery. So what does APQP mean to your business? So right first time, that is the end goal, and on time. Improved on-time delivery, improved quality, consistency in the manufacture, which, in a production cycle, having that consistency where we're not having to break down setups, etc., is key to achieving that on-time delivery. Department collaboration, so pulling in, members of the team, customer satisfaction, and then revenue protection. All these areas focus in on that revenue protection. How can Ideagen help? We have multiple different kind of products that focus in on these areas. They're out of the box software products, modular design, they're task management tools, there's toolkits to create and populate and complete the required evidence to AS9145. We have a tool set for collaborative digital workspace, and some of these products are configurable for your varying customer demands, because we are aware that although the standard sits there, customers do like to tweak the demands on the standard. They like to tweak it to suit themselves. That's the end of the webinar. I hope everyone's kind of enjoyed that. We're on the kind of 30-minute mark. We can open it up to any questions. If nobody has any questions, if they want to reach out to me, personally, feel free to get a hold of my email address through through Claire or Sharon at the NWAA, please do just reach out to us. But yeah, open to any questions.
No questions in chat at the moment. If anyone would like to add anything or speak, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Hi, Steve. It's Gordon Smith. I just thanks for the presentation. Lots of information as ever with these things. Have you got any ideas or examples of how KPIs are impacted by the implementation of APQP and/or the QPulse products?
I don't have any examples to hand just now, but in terms of from the APQP kind of principles, when the kind of core areas when we're looking in, like from a kind of manufacturing standpoint, when we're looking at the PPAP side of it, so the PFMEAs, the process flow, the control plans, that's really evaluating your risk. And like a lot of the kind of standards, they've been revised to really push on that risk side of things. So by driving the focus on looking at risk within, you know, the manufacture of the product, subsequently will improve on that quality, which therefore compounds on your, you know, and assists your on-time delivery. That's what I'm aware of from industry. But good question. If I can get some information on that, I'll come back to you, Gordon.
Great, thanks. So it's always the key output, isn't it?
Yeah, that's correct.
Thanks, Gordon.
Thanks.
We have a question from Noel. 1 second. Yeah, do you want to speak and ask your question? Okay, Noel's question is, when we design the tool to use for manufacturing, which stage in the APQP? Is it stage 2 or 3? Since we built the part from the blueprint, not the design, part.
So that's an area that, just like I said, that's an area that a lot of businesses, you know, or maybe because this is maybe coming to them as something new, get maybe confused about. So if you've got, you know, you're building to print, building to blueprint, you'd be mainly focusing on that stage 3, because you're not in control of the design element of it. Now, that doesn't mean to say that you can't, you know, offer up improvements to the design based on manufacturing methods, because not everyone, you know, the designers aren't, not all of them are skilled on that manufacture, on how to manufacture something. But to answer the question, yeah, you'd be mainly focusing on that kind of stage 3, where you're evaluating the risks using the PFMEA, process flow diagram, control plan, or prior to going into that manufacture. And that's something you would agree with your customer as well. Typically, like, this is kind of like a wide, the APQP is quite a wide topic to capture all, but it doesn't apply to everything that, you know, everyone's asked to do. You know, not all areas of it apply to every product that's, you know, throughout the supply chain. And that's a key bit, is talking to the customer and understanding, you know, so what is the evidence that I'm required to do. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. Okay, if there are no further questions, then that's it for today. Thanks everyone for taking part. Hopefully we'll see you at future webinars, and hopefully to our annual conference. Okay.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Sharon and Claire, for setting up the webinar as well. And thank you everyone for attending. It's greatly appreciated. please do reach out if you have any questions or want to know any more about anything. All right.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks, everyone. Bye
Thanks
for
a lot.
now.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks for